And welcome again to our program. I'm Guillermo, Emil Amok. This is Emil Amok's Takeout, the video version. And we're joined again by our nurse on the front lines down there in Ground Zero, Elmhurst, Queens, Jem Corp. Jem, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Emil.
It's good to see you. Since we last talked, we did the podcast, we did a webinar, we told your story as a nurse in Queens, and it just struck me that you're right there in the center of it. It's the most deaths, the most activity in the world. Do you get a sense of responsibility? Does that motivate you each and every day to get up there and to go back into the hospital and fight to save lives?
Exactly, because as a nurse, it is my dedication. It's my calling to help and save. And right now, I'm out of the line, and then more and more nurses are coming out of the line. So that really, I'm in contact every day to my superiors, management. That hey, when can I come back? When can I come back? I really want it to happen because staffing is really bad right now. It's getting worse.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When we talked, when we first talked, you talked about, your purpose as a nurse. And of course you knew you were being exposed, but you didn't really know until just the other day. Tell me about what happened. You got the test. Not everyone is tested. Why did you decide to get tested?
That's true. As I've said before, that it should be a mandatory. I decided to be tested because of the fact I always quote the term I'm overly exposed. Every day I'm working, and every patient I touch is really COVID patient. We're not even assuming them because they're already confirmed. And from first job to second job, I've been doing CPR with less protective gear. So I know I'm getting it. I'm just so surprised that I have no symptoms at all, but I'm not taking any chances because I'm going home. What really scares me, it started to worry me when the father of my coworker died. And she is the only one working in a hospital, and she knows that she's the only one going home, bringing this virus to her family. So having that in mind, I really pushed myself. I just went to the line, walk in, and say, I have to be tested. I need to know. And here you go. I'm really positive.
So they weren't testing anybody. You went in and insisted you got the test. And how did you find it? What kind of test was it? And how did you find out? What did they tell you?
It's a regular test that we do. Usually it's a nasal swab, nasopharyngeal swab. So it's a long stick that they can insert to you both nose. It's a very bad feeling. It's gonna make you cry, sneeze. It's really bad. That's the test. And then after a certain hours, it depends what kind of machine they have. So some tests, the recent test that you have right now in Long Island says in hours, in a few minutes, the test will come back, but ours take at least 48 to 72 hours to find out if you're positive or not.
Wow, so that means that during the time you're waiting, you could be shedding virus and spreading it around.
Definitely, and as I've said, this is not a good protocol. Like the only time I remove my mask is on the station, and then that's the time everybody remove their mask. Mm-hmm. And that I believe that's the time we are now sharing what we have. Who is more exposed? Who has the virus? We're sharing to each other. Yeah. Because it's the only time we feel safe in our station. Otherwise, we go back to the patient's place with all our PPE.
And you're sharing PPE too, right? Some people are sharing gowns.
Exactly, as I mentioned earlier, since I'm one of those nurses given the privilege that I will have N95. Some nurses were not given that privilege, so I saved mine because our policy says that you can have your N95 for 1 week. You just clean it, put it in a brown bag, like the grocery bag, save it for the next shift or the next time you're gonna come back. And sad to say also, our face shield, they're trying to make it sharing also. We have to clean our face shield and pass it to the next nurse. So everybody really make a big commotion of that. So I'm saving my PPE and pass it to other friends that doesn't have N95.
All right. So there's the PPE issue. There's the test issue. It's not mandatory. You went in, you got the test. How did you find out? How did you find out the results?
I was working that night, and since it's already past 48 hours, I go online. So we have that privilege that we can check ourselves online. And then I got it. I mean, when I saw it, it says positive.
How'd you feel?
Uh, the first, when I see the word positive, I really went blank. Like probably I'm in the denial stage. Or it's like very striking to me, knowing that everybody that get positive, they all die. Just like I mentioned before, that I have a positive patient who was just walking. I put him on the table. The next day I went to ICU and he is there intubated. So I see that picture. I don't know. It's like now I'm positive. Would I be intubated in a few days? Just like also my supervisor, he has no symptom. He had only fever that morning. He went back, drive to Maryland. When he get back to Maryland, he got shortness of breath, and now he's intubated. I don't have any news from him yet. But those were the thoughts that were running in my mind. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna die right now. I'm glad I have a coworker who just called my name, trying to encourage me that I can get over it, and then I came back to my senses.
And so that was your reaction. How did you tell your family?
I didn't tell them yet. I was not prepared. Like I was trying to find myself, and then I tried to find some courage. First, I was asking my coworkers because it's not easy. Like that feeling that they're trying to avoid you. I'm glad that the tech, the X-ray tech, the CAT scan tech that I have that night was very welcoming, or should say very positive with me. He is telling me what will the management will do? Should everybody will be tested? If everybody will be tested, he said that he's also positive. He is sure that he's positive. He's not just tested. So he said, don't worry, I'm still working with you. So I'm start calling other coworkers. I told them that this is me, and I was trying to joke around. I've been telling them, hey, I have 14 days more left. So we're just gonna work along side by side, but when I'm around, just wear your mask, keep distance. I was telling them in advance. But still, there are some other friends that when they see me, they hide in the corner, put their mask, and it's a very difficult feeling. I mean, I'm not used to it because I'm a very friendly person.
So you felt they were shunning you?
Exactly. Some are not. I mean, I'm glad that there are those who stayed by my side, but there are really those when they see you, they're trying to avoid. And even our team leader that morning, when she found out, I told her that I got positive. She told me, why I'm still here? I'm breathing the same air as you breathe right now. So she's trying to tell me, go home right away, because she don't want to get infected. I have that feeling that everybody's avoiding me. Everybody wants to shut me off because they don't want to be infected as well. I think it's normal, but still hurts.
So it's the wrong kind of social distancing, huh?
I believe so.
I mean, I guess I kind of mean to make light of it because it's sad, because you find out who your friends are, you're in the trenches together. And even when you talk to management, you know that they want you to go home, but you know they also don't want you to go home because they don't make testing mandatory. They don't want to know what people's situation is. And the other nurses, some of them don't even want to know what the situation is, right?
Exactly. I just spoke to a coworker just now. I mean, she has all the symptoms. She has diarrhea. She's been coughing, but she was not tested. So she wants to be tested as well. My other senior nurse calling me yesterday, almost out of voice, out of breath on the phone. But she said, not, after she had that symptom, she just walked into it because she said, I need to be tested. I need to find out. I got 2 kids at home. So management has to change. They have to really do it as mandatory.
So if they test all the nurses and they find that they all have the virus, they have to send them home, and then what? The nursing shortage becomes more critical, right?
It's critical, but they have an option. As long as I remember when this first started, our mandate says we should continue to work until critically ill. I don't know what it means. Maybe until you're calling to death, you can still work. Now I call the agency that is part of our hospital asking about it. The person I talked to said, as long as you wear your mask and you're able to work, then you should work. But if your symptoms are really bad, stay home, do quarantine and all of that. So that means if I wanted to, I can really go to work. But I just don't like the feeling right now that everybody's avoiding me. So I stay home, but tomorrow I will go back to work.
So you're quarantined, self-quarantined in a hotel
Correct.
because you don't want to go home. How did you tell your family about the situation?
So that morning on my way home, finally I told them, don't be surprised. I told my wife, help me pack up. I mean, this is for the safety of everyone. I don't want you to get infected. I don't want my son to get infected. I mean, for me, I believe I'm strong enough. I believe, and my wife said, my wife told me, I believe you had the virus ever since. The first time you had the symptoms, you just overcome it. And then I said, so yeah, but maybe this time it's really strong. I mean, maybe the first one was just mild. This one is getting worse. So I need to be separated from my family, from the two of you, and then that's how it goes.
How does that make you feel that you have to do that? What was the reaction from your wife?
It's bad. I mean, the separation is really bad. I mean, I've been with them ever since, and now this is the first time I'm away with them, especially my son. My son, this is the first time that he's ever away from me, and seeing him, I mean, a fun time. Like sometimes I do grocery right now. I call my wife, say, I just want to say hi. So I just open the window of my car, and then my son will just wave from the window as well, and then he'll be shouting my name, and I don't know. I mean, I cannot live like this forever. This has to stop. I mean, we need to find a way. That's why I'm fighting back.
And so you're planning on staying quarantined, but you're going to go back to work, you said, after you just found out you were positive last Monday, and now we're coming up to a Monday. We're speaking on a Sunday now. And what are you going to do? Is that enough time to go back?
I'm not so sure if it's enough time, but I believe I'm able to work. And especially now that two more nurses are out of the line. My team leader asked me that she missed me and she needs me back. That's in a personal level, not a mandatory level. So yeah, so I commit to them that I'm able to work by Monday, but I'm gonna ask the agency that is handling the positive nurses that I should be tested back because I want to go back to my family. That's the only way to find out. If I'm negative, then I can go back with my family. Right now, I can still work, but I'm gonna expect those kind of reaction from my coworkers. They're gonna be shunting from me. They're gonna be shying away. I'm just gonna live with it for now.
Are there other nurses who are working who are positive?
I was told, correct. I mean, since our department are separated, I mean, divided into several areas, we have the holding area. The holding area, 4 nurses were out and they were positive. But I know one of them, on that Monday that I came back, I mean, I was out, she came back to work, but I know she's also positive. I don't know. I have no idea if she was retested. Hopefully she did it part because she's back to work as well.
Well, the crazy thing is, just like whether it's nurses or the general population, if you don't test everyone, how do you know, right? I mean, there could be positive nurses working there now, and you wouldn't know it if they don't test.
That's what I say. It's better. It's the best idea. It's the best thing to do. Everybody should be tested because otherwise we are just sharing it to everybody. Well, I believe the idea that not to test everyone because we are the official COVID hospital. Meaning to say all patients that comes to us are positive. So meaning to say all nurses are expected now to be positive. I think that's their idea. I don't know exactly what's going on in their mind, but I believe so. That's why if you feel the symptom, you go yourself, submit yourself to a test just to protect your family. So right now, what other nurses are doing even if they have no symptoms, they also self-quarantine themselves. There are other hotels that are designed for nurses who were just exposed. But this hotel that I'm right now is the hotel for those who are really positive.
So you really want to get back to work. You really want to get back to helping people. But do you also understand why it might be good just to, if you know you're positive, to stay away until you get better?
That's really a good idea, but it's a win-win situation. Right now, our department, as I said, there's only one nurse left in night shift, and then a few more in other shifts. So if I don't come back tomorrow night, that means how will we find out that we are the one who confirms for positive patient? We are the one who confirms them. And not only that, we take care of trauma patient. We take care of stroke patient. Who will take care of them if there's no nurse in the unit? So there's only one nurse, one nurse left, and then she's off tomorrow. Then it's my turn to come back.
You know, a lot of people hearing this would, you know, I hope to hear the responsibility and dedication you have to your job. And I don't know, I don't want to say it's just because you're a Filipino nurse and Filipino nurses have that dedication, but how do you compare your dedication and the dedication of other Filipino nurses with non-Filipino nurses? Is it different?
Very different, very different. Okay, I don't want to mention any race. I don't want to compare ourselves. I don't want to bring that idea that Filipino nurses are superheroes or better than anybody. But this is what I observe. There are nurses, non-Filipino nurses. The moment they know that the patient is COVID, they run away. They leave it for Filipino nurses. They will never see them. That's what I'm saying. I was hurt to say to see somebody running away from a responsibility and leave it to a Filipino nurse. And they always say, don't worry, Filipino nurses will do that. Filipino nurses will do it. They don't care. Something like that, like, okay, they can take that patient. But then they always run away. They make excuse. Some nurses, non-Filipino nurses, they already applied for FMLA, leave of absence for so long, like until maybe this thing finished, then they come back. So most nurses left in the unit right now are Filipino nurses, and that's the real fact. I'm not lying to that part.
And Jim, why is that? Because the people, FMLA is some kind of leave, right?
Correct.
All right. So other people have applied for leave. They're gone. The
They're
Filipino
gone.
nurses are left.
Mm-hmm. They're sick and still working.
Yeah. But why are the Filipino nurses like that? Is it because of the circumstances in which they came to America? They came here to fill a shortage. They came here because this was their opportunity. Why do you think that is in the mindset of Filipino nurses?
I don't have the answer for that, but I believe being a Filipino, that makes us very unique. We have the warrior blood in us. We are the one who we don't want to feel the failure. Like, this is our battle right now. We bring the battle on the field. We're gonna win this. We have that mentality, you know. And then ever since, that's how I even feel myself. Like, I can do it. There are so many things that other nurses very scared to do. They always say protocol. Oh, according to protocol. But I know, because they don't know how to do it. They don't want to risk. If nobody will take the risk, who will do it? But Filipino nurses always do it. Like, hey, I can do it. I can Google it. I can YouTube it. Oh, okay, I can figure it out. I know it. That's how we are. I mean, nurses, Filipino nurses are like that. I don't know. We were just born like that.
Is it? It doesn't have to do with the fact that how you immigrated here, the circumstances, how you became American. Does that drive you? Perhaps is there a kind of a hunger quality to do well and to, I don't know. I'm trying to understand, because most rational people would say, hey, if I'm sick, I'm going to stay home, or if I'm going to quarantine. But something drives you, that's what I'm getting at. Something motivates you. So
There's that big motivation to help. Okay. I mean, I don't worry about my family here right now, because I mean, I have enough to support them. But as a matter of fact, I have the second job, because my second job is the way to help my kapwa kababayan Filipinos back home. Especially right now, they have no rice, they have no sardines whatsoever. So I'm trying my best. I just called my director yesterday. I'm gonna call out for 1 day, but I'll be back for next week. Okay, just pay me for 1 day, but next week I'll be back for action. I worry about staffing, but yes, to help our kababayan, to help other poor people, it's really in my mindset. I don't know if that's me, if that's everybody, but most Filipinos I know right now, even those who are retired, they are still broke because they're helping. And I'm very touched about their stories. Like and then even a coworker of mine, she's telling me, I don't know what's wrong with my mom. She always send money back home, this, and that. So I said, I find myself, oh, I'm just doing what also she's doing. I send goods back home, put in balikbayan boxes. Every quarterly, I have 2 boxes to send help. I'm helping this area, I'm helping that area. Filipinos are just very helpful, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jim, tell me, you're going back to work on Monday. Hopefully you'll see your family next week, maybe.
Hopefully, I'm hoping to.
Yeah. And are you watching the news at all and seeing what's going on politically? Does that ever get into your head when, as you go through some downtime like you are now?
Uh, the news I'm hearing right now is not really great. I mean, I didn't see any help coming from the government. I don't know why, because they think of the economy more than of the healthcare forces. They don't realize if the healthcare system is down, the economy is also down. I mean, if we go back to the book of Moses, Moses was asked before, I don't know if I quote that statement, if the laborers are dead, then that's it. The whole kingdom is dead. So we are now in the front line. We are the one working for them, working for the government. If they let us down, if they let us die, this country will not submit. I mean, we will not make it. This country will survive.
Well, what do you think about this idea that they're trying to they're saying they're testing, but not everyone is getting tested, and now they're opening up again, or they're planning to reopen the country. Uh, what might what kind of effect might that have on the hospital situation? Are you fearful that maybe there would be a resurgence, and that while there's a lull now in hospitalization, the death rate's going up, but there's a lull in hospitalizations? Might that be reversed if we reopen the country and people get infected again?
I believe so because I saw also the news in South Korea that those 51 nurses or 51 positive patients get reinfected. So immunity is not really a guarantee right now. As we all know, this virus, I'm aware there are 3 strains of this virus out there right now, and I don't know how much more are, because this virus keep on mutating. So that's the very bad idea that we're gonna reopen the country, because we don't fully understood the virus yet, and yet you are welcoming the virus again. So I don't believe that's a very good idea, not at all.
And so, what are you doing personally? There's no vaccine. They give you some over-the-counter medicine to maybe ease some symptoms. I don't know, but you seem to be better than you were when I talked to you the other day, when after the webinar we did. But are there some things that you do, that personal things, homeopathic things, naturopathic things, that might be helpful? I mean, I'm not trying to diagnose or offer prescriptions to people, but what kind of things do you do that help you?
Okay. To be honest, today is the first day I feel really 100% back to myself. I mean, no more symptom last night, no more GI symptom, no more diarrhea, coughing, shortness of breath. Those were my symptoms before this. So what I did, remember there was this epidemiologist doctor back home, my kababayan, Bisaya one. He was telling, I was listening to his seminar, he was telling that if you eat bitter food, that really helps. So I applied the idea yesterday. I can't find the ampalaya, so I found the papaya, but it's ripe. So what I did, I still use the skin of the papaya and make a shake out of it. Of course, the basic ingredients. We have the onion, the garlic, the ginger, the lemon, and finally the honey. The taste is really bad. Oh my! It makes me want to vomit all the time. But I try to drink at least 2 cups. I finished 2 cups maybe in 6 hours. But boom, I had no more shortness of breath last night. That's the first time I lay down last night in my flat. Remember, as I've said before, that I find out that if I lay on my stomach during sleeping, it expands my lungs and I'm okay. But last night is the first time I sleep normally, no more side lying, no more prone or on my stomach. I wake up very great, no stomach upset, nothing. This is the first day I woke up. So probably that papaya skin that I used yesterday, it tastes really bad, but if it helps me, I'm trying to encourage everyone to do it because it really works.
Well, it worked for you. Once again, we have to put this disclaimer because it's a home remedy, but it's not a crazy home remedy. It's just when you're in a situation where we may be a year to 18 months away from a vaccine, any kind of suggestion, any kind of anecdotal information is just that. We present the anecdotal information and maybe it's helpful. It's something to consider in light of nothing coming out of, out of the pharmacy that, you can point to and say, this is going to work. I can't see how it,
Well,
be detrimental.
and, and I agree with you when you mentioned about food. So what I did also less with everything. So I eat less rice, less carbohydrates, less sugar, less fatty foods, because all this group of foods will make an acidic environment in our body. And if we base it in the theory of virology, the study of virus, oncology, the study of cancer, these cells, virus cells and cancer cells, they tend to survive or they tend to multiply faster in an acidic environment. So making our body more alkaline and less acidic, I believe we can win this battle.
Well, there is science. The world famous nutritionist, Colin Campbell, who runs the Colin Campbell Nutrition Center, Center for Nutrition Studies, and it's a place where I become certified in nutrition, in whole food, plant-based nutrition. He did the China study, and it showed epidemiologically that if you took meat and you took fatty foods and you change people's diet. Actually, he used protein. He said if you take protein, lower the protein, and give people a whole food plant-based diet, you can essentially turn on and off the cancer switch in people. People should check out the China study because it was a groundbreaking study, and unfortunately, people have forgotten it, or it hasn't been in the forefront of people's minds that, hey, food has an impact on disease. And now, at the very least, all we can do is talk about an immune system, improving your immune system, as you said, making your body, less susceptible to the virus. And all you can do is put better food in you, or take the bad food out of you, and then cross your fingers and hope that you can stay safe. Look, Jim, I really appreciate your time and your notes from the front line. Is there anything that I left out that you want to leave us with, that to let us know what it's like there? I mean, what it's like to be there in ground zero, Elmhurst, Queens, fighting this battle.
So I don't have much update. I really just rely on my friends. So the last time I talked to them, I mean, we have issues again of PPE. So that's what I worry right now, because I'm gonna go back tomorrow, and then what if I don't have enough PPE? I mean, if I have the virus, I'm not worried about getting it because I already have it. But I worry about spreading it. So hopefully, that's my hope. I'm hopeful that hopefully we still have enough PPE, because it's been a long run. So I believe the supply is running out and you don't have much supply coming in. So that's I worry. Hopefully, we still have enough supply.
All right. Jim Scorp, I appreciate you coming on Emil Amok's Takeout here. You're our go-to guy in the front lines. I don't want really to see you go back in there until you're really well and until you have all the equipment necessary to fight the battle. But I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your insights with us, our audience. And many of them are Kababayan, many of them are Asian American, many of them are just Americans who are in the grips of this pandemic and just need a sense of how to fight this. I'm sheltering in place, hunkering down, trying to eat well. Every time I feel something come on, I thank God that I try to eat better, and I try to make sure that any symptom is very short-lived and does not, extend or become worse. So our prayers to you, Jem, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, Jim. Okay, we're back with Jim Scorp because there's one question that I wanted to ask, because there are instances throughout the country where we hear of anti-Asian violence. And I know you experienced one thing a few weeks ago. Have you experienced more, harassment or anything that would be, considered either a violent threat?
Well, in the past, that's the last one. But in the past, when I first came here, I was working in one hospital in Brooklyn on a train. I was surrounded by 4 kids, and they were just hitting my head, because at that time, either I look Chinese again to them, because my Hispanic friend, not really friend, he was just riding on the train, and he was telling these kids to stop, because he said, hey, because he is Chinese, you're bullying him or you're hitting him, hit a Hispanic man. And he was telling them. So that was my first encounter. 4 black guys hitting me on the head, 4 of them, like I was surrounded. So I didn't respond because I know that they are younger than me. I was just 20-something that time. If they're gonna be minors, so I'll be in big trouble. So I didn't do that. So and there's a few more. When I start working in hospitals, nursing homes, there's so many times either they call me Chinese. I don't know why most of the time I'm mistaken as Chinese. So many times they always tell me, go back to China. You don't belong here. You don't speak English. Yeah, those kind. And then each time you talk to them, probably accent-wise, hey, learn some English, not Chinese. All the time, I have that. Even I moved to Texas, I have that. Russian people, Italian people, just so many of them keep trying to tell you that you don't belong here. You're Chinese.
Yeah. So you've had this all throughout your career in the U.S., you're saying?
Correct.
It's not just the virus.
But the last one I had is most likely is due to the virus, because I was wearing my scrub in my uniform, and he thought I the one spreading the virus, and he really came to me, attacked me. That's the first thing he said. Hey, go back to China. You're spreading this virus. And the second one, he told me, and you're also taking our job out from us. This kind of words.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was during the peak of the when Trump ordered. Cuomo ordered to stop. The lockdown or something like that.
The shelter in place. Yeah.
So only essential workers will be the one allowed to be in the train, but still other commuters are there. Mm-hmm. So that's the one. That's the last time I wear my uniform, because I don't want to be in my uniform. At the same day, my friend was calling my wife, telling her that we were also attacked in the train. We just came back from work, and then they literally was hit because they were wearing a uniform.
So this thing, when people talk about anti-Asian violence, it's no joke. It's a real thing. It's happening out there.
It's really happening. And especially as Filipino, we could be either Chinese or Hispanic looking. So both we have a problem, because those most white people, they don't like Hispanic, because they say we cross the wall. And the black people don't like Chinese because we're stealing jobs. So a lot of people is hating us.
It's now. How about now? You're positive. I mean, has anything happened since you've been in quarantine? Well, I guess you haven't seen many people, but since that instance in the subway, it's been fairly calm for you at least.
Well, definitely yes. But before this happened, even when I have my mask, everybody's looking. It's so weird. Why you are the one wearing the mask? They think that you are the one being sick. So I was worried about before I found out having a mask on, and everybody's just looking at you. I didn't have mask, and that kind of feeling is also weird.
Yeah, but everyone's wearing a mask now. No, you
Right
don't.
now, yes, most. I'm saying most, but not all yet. In New York, here in New York.
Yeah, because when now for you to wear a mask would be very important because if you're positive, you don't want to
Exactly.
share anything. So you're being responsible, and the others are just overreacting and seeing something and going crazy.
Exactly.
Oh, well, look, Jim, I'm glad that we can at least, we're not really making light of it, but sometimes, as I said, sometimes making light makes the unbearable,
Exactly.
livable.
Well,
And yeah. And so, look, I appreciate your sharing. Once again, Jim Scorp, nurse there, Elmer's Queens. Good luck to you as you recover, and hopefully you get back to work and to fulfill your. I guess it's really like your. It's not a destiny, but it's your dedication, your motivation to help people, to serve people. Thank you very much, Jim.
because you're welcome.
Okay, Jim Scorp.